Espresso Talks by Sphere Energy. Hello everyone and welcome back to Espresso Talks. Today I'm very excited to have a new guest speaker with us, and I would just suggest you can introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure, thank you. My name is Avinash Mutaria. I'm Executive Vice President at Purem by Eberspächer, which is the division at the Eberspächer Group. We are actually responsible for the exhaust after treatment systems. So we are making, let's say, the cars much more cleaner than they would be without our exhaust after treatment systems. My personal role at Eberspächer and Purem by Eberspächer is innovation and technology. So basically, I'm helping the company to transform into new markets with our long-standing experience on the way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, Avi, as you said, Purem has been a leader in exhaust technology for many, many years now. And now the industry is undergoing a massive transformation, right? From primarily looking at exhaust to the battery, to electrification, right? How does this shift feel to you? More generally speaking, is it more of a merely technological challenge or also maybe a cultural challenge?
It's both. It's not just a technological challenge, it's also a cultural challenge. Because what we have figured out in the past years is, let's say in 2017, I started at Eberspächer, at Purem, and the basic voice was that the electrification is not coming through, right? That's what we saw in terms of, we could not imagine that there are gonna be electric cars on the way, on the roads. Where's the energy coming from, right? So stuff like that. So we believed almost every one of us in the combustion engines will stay forever and for decades, right? And we thought about that in terms of the innovation department. It's not the truth, right? So the electrification is coming, and there's not going to be, let's say, just one solution for every market. So there will be still some markets where the combustion engine will stay longer than in different other markets, but also there will be markets where we will adapt into new technologies like with electrifications, with the BEVs. But there will also be a market where, for example, hydrogen is going to be a major player in that way. So basically, we opened our minds, and when I came up with this idea to say let's go into different markets, different products, different sectors, and in regions, it was like a crazy thought, right? So most people were very, let's say, critical out of that. They're like, are you sure? Well, because exhaust after treatment system, that's our baseline, right? That's what we're doing, that's what we're dealing with. And we don't believe in that other industries as well as much. But the new cases showed us that the world is shifting. So therefore we said we need to come up with different ideas. And honestly speaking, so from a technical perspective, there are a lot of opportunities. Now there's the second part of it, because the cultural topic. So we have to discuss with the people and the teams, like, don't be afraid of the electrification, because, a BEV is not going to have an exhaust after treatment system. So people are not willing to deal with that topic, right? They're like, oh, we're doing exhaust, you're talking about BEV, honestly speaking, we don't want to have it, right? Because that's gonna take our jobs, right? So a BEV car is not going to have exhaust after treatment since there's no combustion. But we said we need to see in our baseline what are our competencies. So we are very good in welding, we are very good in simulation, we're very good in industrialization. And why don't we take all of our opportunities, what we have so far on our side, and use it for new technologies like for the BEVs? So then we stepped into this market as well.
Maybe, Avi, a question more on a personal level. How does it feel to be the innovation driver in such a company? I guess it's not always an easy task, right? How do you feel doing that?
It wasn't. Honestly speaking, I don't like easy tasks, so therefore it was fun for me, but it was tough time in the last couple of years while dealing with those topics, because you have to convince the advisory board, you have to convince your chiefs, you have to convince the whole team, the culture, you have to shift into new fields and markets. But this is actually what I'm looking into. So all these kind of products we are looking into as of right now, I'm honestly speaking so proud of it. We just discussed a few minutes before, we're not dealing with exhaust just with exhaust. We are dealing with BEVs, we are dealing with direct air capturing, we're dealing with hydrogen, with production, with transportation, and also application products for fuel cell applications, hydrogen engines. So there's a wide portfolio meanwhile we're dealing with at Eberspächer as of right now. And the culture has changed, and we are moving technologies now in the future.
Maybe touching on to this, you mentioned obviously your engineers that were maybe feeling a little threatened as well, but also advisory boards. How about the clients, the customers? How is that shift perceived towards the customer end?
Honestly speaking, it shifted very well. It shifted very well. I can tell you for sure why. Because the customers also dealing with the topic of the electrification, for example, right? And so they see us as a supplier for exhaust after treatment systems, right? But we need to finance our business somehow. So we know all that the electrification is coming more and more, right? It will take in some regions more time, in some regions it's going to be coming faster. But either way, there's going to be reduced volumes in the near future, let's say in the next 10 to 20 years. But we need to finance the exhaust after treatment systems and all the products we're selling to the customers. So basically they were asking us, so what is your strategic approach, right? And we said, well, last man standing is not a strategic approach, but this is, let's say, how we position ourselves. So we will stay in the exhaust business because that's our roots. We will stay in the business, but what is coming beyond to finance our products, for example? And then we came up with different ideas with the BEV, with the hydrogen topics. And then our customers engaged us to this. And they said, oh, that's great, because it's not like you're going down with exhaust, but you are moving yourself into new directions and areas as well. So we can count on you, not just for the next 10 years after our model is going to be closed down, but also in the next, let's say, 160 years again. Well, yes, that's the way.
That's super interesting. I mean, you're not only a good partner now, but you're also following your client's development roadmap. I mean, this is for us as a startup, obviously, one of the key essence. And I think it's amazing to see that this mindset is also adapted more and more throughout the industry and by the large players, because I think this is what makes the innovation drivers that are in this field, mainly coming from Asia and US, great, right? They're adapting, they're forward thinking, they're not shying back from any of these challenges. And I think it's really awesome to see that you guys are going in this direction as well. Can you talk a little bit about the innovations themselves, like what is cooking at Purem Eberspächer?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that and what we are doing so far. We're dealing with different topics. For example, when we say let's say the Euro 7 legislation on combustion engines, there were different products which were necessary to heat up the exhaust after treatment systems and the catalysts inside there to reduce the emissions. Therefore, we have invented some products. Based on those products, we said, well, we are very much experienced with the heaters what we have invented so far. How can we use them? Because we know how to deal with emissions. So therefore, we stepped into the market of direct air capturing. Currently, our colleagues are working in Esling and all over the globe, also for the direct air capture topic, right? And according to that,
maybe for the audience, direct air capture, maybe you can elaborate on this, just 1 or 2 sentences so for the audience.
Yes, sure. The idea behind direct air capturing is basically to reduce CO2 level, right? So you can reduce CO2 level by reducing the quality of your life. So you use less trains, buses, cars, flights, and ships, but nobody is actually willing to reduce his life quality, right? So therefore we have to do actively something. So the idea behind the direct air capturing is to have a system which is actually sucking air out of the atmosphere, and due to a chemical process you are now taking away the CO2 and you're capturing it in some kind of sorbent material, and then you just take it out, suck it out, and then you can either store it or use it again. You send it to some cement production, construction areas or whatever, or you just store it and then you can rewind this procedure once again. And this is the idea to reduce CO2 out of the atmosphere. And this technology we're working as well. Yeah, this CO2 you are reducing or taking out of the system, you can also basically use to produce e-fuels again, which is coming back because e-fuels are going to be used in cars, which will need an exhaust after treatment system. So we're closing the loop there. So this is one part. Another part what we're doing is hydrogen applications. So we're working on fuel cell applications and also on hydrogen engines as well. So therefore we are working on let's say, exhaust after treatment systems for this topic. But also we are working not just about the application itself, but also on hydrogen generation, for example. So there is a big demand in the future for hydrogen, which is going to be used in the industry, but also in the mobility, most likely in the first step in the industry. And the demand is so high that we said, who's going to provide this hydrogen, right? Here in Europe, back in Asia, back in the US, back in Australia, whatever. So there are some players providing the hydrogen, so they are very well known how to produce hydrogen in a theory, but they don't know how to industrialize, right? Scale up. And this is a big topic. And we digged into this business as well, since we are very much mature in terms of industrialization, in terms of scaling up, in terms of, let's say, high precision profiles and products. So we are working on that topics as well. And coming back to the topic of BEVs, as I said, it's not a threat, it's also opportunity and chance for us, because for the BEV, we said there's a battery electric vehicle and there's a casing, right? The cells are somewhere in a casing. And this product is out of aluminum, most likely currently on the market. And there's a reason why, let's say, most of the manufacturers are using the aluminum casing because of the corrosion, because of, let's say, the light weight, whatever. And we said, well, there could be an idea to work and deal with high-strength steel, for example. There are just two major challenges. There's a challenge of the corrosion you have to deal with. And the second topic is you have to reduce the weight, because you have to be comparable with the aluminum, because more weight, more energy you need, more energy.
It's not what you want in a battery pack.
Exactly, right? And now we're working on those topics as well, because we are pretty much mature, and in terms of materials, we are very well known to deal with those materials, and we're working with partners together to come up with a solution for different markets, different regions, with a BEV casing out of high-strength steel, for example, which could be used then for battery electric vehicles. The positive effect, you can reduce the weight by having a smart design, let's say. And also, aluminum has a melting point of roughly 660 degrees, while high-strength steel, for example, has a melting point of roughly about 1,500 degrees. So in terms of the thermal propagation, it is a much more safer product, right? If you can handle the topic with the corrosion and the weight. And we have done it so far, and we're producing already some parts, and are on the best way to bring this product to the market. The basic, let's say, topic is where we have to deal with this. We have to understand, even though we are a German company and a family-owned company localized in Esslingen, we have to understand the markets on a global perspective. And this is what have been, let's say, done not in a very correct way in the last couple of years out of Europe, not just from us, but also from the OEMs. There is not a strategic positioning of your company. You can't decide in Esslingen, for example, what is good for Asia. Because in Asia, you have different customers, you have different regulations, you have different market needs, right? And in Asia, it's totally different to the US, to Australia. This you have to understand, and then you have to come up with a strategic approach.
And I like that a lot. And I think in one of the last episodes, we talked about this. What is the core strength of us in Europe, and especially in Germany? It's probably not the battery cell itself, right? We are very good in research there. Unfortunately, Porsche just announced that cell force will be reduced to a minimum. So there is only a couple of cell producers and cell manufacturers left. But I think what is our core DNA here in Germany is the systems engineering approach, and having less parts but more intelligent parts that make up the battery system in the end. And the pack obviously is the most critical component. I know you're working also in the BMS area at Eberspächer and Purem, so really appreciate that you guys are so innovatively thinking about these topics, and probably be one step ahead with your core competencies and transforming them into a new segment, into a new market.
Yeah, we are offering, honestly speaking, a wide portfolio, not just at Purem, right? Because the Eberspächer group has 3 divisions. One is Purem Eberspächer. We are dealing with the exhaust after treatment systems, with the BEV casings, with the direct air catering and all the stuff. But we have also the climate control units, right? So they're responsible for the heating, for the cooling, for the thermal management, for batteries, electrical heaters they're dealing with. And we have also the automotive electronics division, which is basically doing control control units and energy systems for cars. So we are offering a wide range, and we are trying to combine all our strengths together with partners to speed up, because that's what I see is really needed. In terms of business, when you look into the last 150 years, the business opportunities came always shorten, right? So it was like 30 years, steel was interesting, and then the next wave came with 25 years and whatever. And now we have reached let's say, a maturity level that speed is actually what we all need.
100%.
And this is what the customers are asking for as well, right? In the past, the customers were asking us, they're sending some RFQs. We saw the specifications, we came up with a design, we did some changes with the customers, we sent it to the customers, everything was fine, right? And then we had, how is it called? A freeze design, right? So the customer frees the design, and then it's gone. So you can then start with the industrialization. You are ordering the tools, you're going into steel, into production, whatever. And the change willingness is not that much, because now every change will cost, and the customers can actually deal with the design they have kicked off and they have freezed so far. Now we see that the market is behaving so volatile, so fast, that the customers needs a very late design freeze. So we have to adapt ourselves. We have to be faster, we have to be speedy, we have to come up with solutions which are in a modular concept, to adapt to the customer requirements and to do some change management for them. And if you reach that maturity level, then you are a benefit to the customers as well.
Absolutely. And I think the battery is the biggest example that showed us in the industry how static and linear our processes are, right? Because the battery changes every half a year. You'll get a new material, you get a new chemistry, you get a new design. One day everybody says prismatic is the set format. The other day it's round cells, 4680, whatever. And the customers need to react, and so do their partners, right? And I think having there the mindset of being not a problem to the customer, but being part of the solution is super essential. Because they are under a lot of stress, right? And we as partners for the big manufacturers, we need to find solutions and act quickly.
Yeah. Totally.
Maybe going back to touch to the point of speed that you mentioned before, obviously you both said it's essential right now, especially. What do you feel like is slowing you down the most? Is it maybe what we said before, we touched upon culture, some people maybe don't want to adapt, or is it also this volatility in the market?
I would say it's something which is slowing us down, because the people what we have so far, they're very dedicated, and they're going often the extra mile to do more than is really actually in their job description, right? So they're willing to adapt, and we have established this kind of culture at Eberspächer and Purem Eberspächer especially, which is very, very well. It's just to, let's say, our own patience, right? From the customers and my personal patience. Honestly speaking, there is none, right? So somehow we wanna speed up with these ideas, and this is not easy to. You have something in mindset, and in your mind, and then you wanna adapt it to real life. While you're doing this, you have a new idea already, and then you have to now switch this, right? So it is a fight with yourself already to be patient with yourself, like for BEV casings, for example, right? And in the past, there was like 5 years ago, I had the idea. It was not related to the BEVs, but more rather to the exhaust after treatment system. And I said, somehow we need to have something as a tool or whatever, a simulation tool, which is giving me a full system. So what I need from the customer is some kind of specification and requirements, right? So he's giving me his engine data, he's giving me his emission data, he's giving me his free space in the car, which I can actually use. And then I should be able to push the button, and then there should be some kind of simulation out of which material to be used, how the substrates have to be integrated, how the system has to look like to reach a certain emission level and also a certain acoustic emission level, right? So that should be some way to have something like that. And we tried it already 5 years ago. It did not work out, because what we have is a mess of knowledge, right? In paper form, 2D, 3D, TIFF data, PDF, whatever. And we thought we have to throw it in some kind of system, and then the system will come up with a solution. But the problem on that time was the system itself could not read all these data, right? So there needs to be
It's not there yet.
Exactly. There needs someone who is actually reading on the other side of the table what I'm giving to 80 years of experience, and now they have to read through and tell me which is the best part of it, right? But now 5 years, 5 years is just like nothing, right? But we are on such a high speed level that for me, for example, I hate and love AI at the same time, right? This is coming very, very fast, and it could be very supportive in that case. Now I can throw all the data into the system. It's just a topic of cost. And then I would get some kind of system like that. And this you have to create with partners. We have to adapt when you're talking about what is the difficulty. The difficulty is, especially on European, let's say suppliers, OEMs or whatever, like we are as well as a big supplier, we most of the time think we are very good, we are very smart, and we can do everything by ourselves.
Sure.
So why would I work with a partner? Because if I do that, I have to share my knowledge, I have to share my margin and whatever, stuff like that. This is blocking us. We have to get rid of these topics. We have to work together with partners on eye level to speed up and to make sure it's the most, let's say, beneficial procedure, not just for us, not just for the partner, but also for the customer. That should be the win-win situation. And this is a cultural topic we're switching, and I'm very proud to say Eberspächer did totally understand that, and we are working with a lot of partners, as I'm here today with you guys, and I love to work together with you guys here at Sphere, right? So I really love the work, I really love the dedication and the passion and the speed we're bringing up on the street. So that's why we especially focus on partnerships.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, yeah, dropping the ego in a sense and just being able to collaborate. Maybe Lucas, do you want to touch upon this collaboration? That would be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you mentioned it, Avi, right? A couple of years ago, we haven't been there yet, but I think we're coming to a point where simulation really reaches the next level. And I know, and I have been working on this in my career so far, digital twins were around since decades already, right? But they were limited in compute power and in intelligence. And I think these two things changed right now. With quantum, we're still even one step ahead, where we're a little bit unsure where it develops, but certainly a great potential. But what we're capable right now is insane. And I think introducing these simulation powers not only on production processes where were very good and are progressing a lot in the last couple of years, but thinking this in the development process is what we truly at Sphere believe will be the next lever, the next game changer for companies like Purem and Eberspächer, right? Where you need to react very fast to customer demands. There is a lot of uncertainty. There is never always the knowledge there, but you need to come up with a way to deal with that. And we truly believe, and we share that thought, that simulation will be a game changer there. And what we mean by that is simulating basically designs with understanding the individual parts and coming up with a systems engineering understanding of it. And there, the new transformer models, the new way how to simulate, and integrating this into a clever co-development process together with our customers will be key for the future of our success.
Exactly. I totally agree. As I mentioned in the past, we received RFQs and we worked on the RFQs, we worked on the specification, we came up with designs, right? But now, as you all know, on BEV, for example, right, on electric vehicles, the big customers, our customers are struggling with this topic because of the speed, right? Because of the changes on the cell geometry and all the stuff. And now, if we would go to them and tell them, well, we could come up with a BEV casing, for example, or something related to your product, we don't have any clue or nothing. But if you want us to, you can nominate us as a supplier. He would tell you straight in your face, like, I have so many issues as of right now, and you're not a problem solver, but a problem itself, right? Why would I hire you, right? So I wouldn't do it, so why would our customers do that? So you have to be beneficial on that. In the past, it was a reactive way of working together. Now it should be a proactive way on a, let's say, eye level in a cooperative way. So together with you guys from Spear, we would like to be the game changer here. We would like to dig into the engineering part of the products in a very early stage and work on a cooperative level with our customers. Ask them what they're looking for, have a deeper understanding of how the cells will react on a thermal way and whatever, and then find out together with the customer what is needed, what is required, and help him produce the best car, the best cell, the best BEV casing, whatever, to be fast on the market with a good product. Because just being fast with a shitty product is also not the case, right? So we need to come up with, especially for European OEMs, they want to be fast, but they also want to be very good in what they're doing. Made in Germany is still a brand, right? So therefore we have to work together with them on a very early stage. And this we are seeing already, but nothing comes for free. So you have to come up with some ideas. And therefore, as I said, you have to put away the ego. So I could come up with, we're Purem, we're Eberspächer, 10,000 people, what kind of revenues, whatever. Doesn't matter in terms of system intelligence, in terms of the AI understanding, in terms of cell understanding, whatever. If I would build this up, I would need 1, 2, 3 years. I don't have 3 days for that. So why would I do that? I would call Lucas, tell you, I need your support. You are pretty much experienced with the cell geometry. You are pretty much experienced on cell level. I would like to dig into this market with some ideas I have. Let's join forces. 1 + 1 is 3, right? So this is the idea behind.
Awesome. What a statement.
Yeah, amazing statement. Well, if we fast forward for a second, what do you feel like the new normal, let's call it, at Purem will look like?
The new normal, I would say new markets, new business, transformation into new products and adaptation, which is currently, let's say, not in the spec. It's just like sometimes we have issues, we have to go the extra mile, whatever. That's gonna be the future. The new normal would be change. The new normal would be adapting to new markets, new requirements, new products, totally new ideas in a very quick way. The good thing about that is we at Eberspächer, we have transformed ourselves in the last 160 years. We're coming from one product to another product, always according to the market requirements. That's why we are still not insolvent or whatever. We are still in the market and we are still planning to stay there in the next 160 years and write history. But we have to learn to be fast. In the future, the new future would be there's nothing going to be done like we did it in the last couple of days. Everything will be changed, everything will be moving. So everything will be fast moving. So if we want to adapt, we will adapt in less than 24 hours. We have to understand what is the market requirements, what are the ideas behind, how to adapt them, how to keep going.
Amazing. And are there maybe, I truly believe that top management plays a key role in this transformation. I'm super happy to have somebody like you in such a position, in such a big company, such an important company for Germany. Are there any tips that you could give other executives on how you adapt it? I mean, for you, this comes natural, but are there maybe any things that you would like to share with other executives and how to approach this journey?
It sounds simple, but it is like it is. You have to think in solutions. Every topic which is coming is a challenge, what you're getting. But don't look at it just like a threat, but look in the solution. Out of every challenge which is coming, there is a solution. And you can be part of the solution. And instead of thinking of how to not deal with it or how to find excuses for not being very, let's say, efficient on something or successful, think of what is needed to go beyond. Don't think of the next 5 years, because this is still the current business what you're dealing with. Think of the next 20 years. Be visionary. Look into your company's DNA. Look into your vision. Look where you would like to be with your team in the next 20 years, and then find a solution for that. Yeah.
Amazing.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing so much about Purem's journey and also the outlook on the entire industry. And I would say to dropping the ego and to being visionary and cooperative. Thank you so much for listening in as well. And we'll see you on the next episode next month.
Thank you.